Welcome back to Lost Legacies.
A Hidden City Book Company production.
I'm Matt.
I'm Sam.
And I'm dead.
That's right, surprise dad visit. Um,
Surprise.
we weren't gonna make this episode, but then we decided we were.
Oh man, that should be the title. The episode we weren't going to make.
Yeah. What's the famous everything like YouTubers say? I never planned on making this episode or making this video.
Like, well, I never
Super
expected to make this
dramatic.
video.
Never expected to make this video. But no, we've never talked about or like reviewed, had a discussion about like movies that were current. It's always in the past or something, you know what I mean?
Hmm. Hmm.
Uh, so today we're breaking from format and we're talking about James Gunn's 2025 hit Superman, which is the first film to be called Superman.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's very true.
Because the original was Superman the movie.
The movie.
Yeah. So it
I
took
didn't
it
I didn't know
nearly
that.
took us 100 years, but we finally got a Superman movie.
Hmm. Hmm. 100 years? What are you
Now
talking
hold
about?
on now.
Character's almost 100 years old, right?
Oh.
No, 80.
I think 80.
Siri, how old is Superman?
Okay, I found this on the web for how old is Superman. Check it out.
Making me do the work myself.
She doesn't answer you? She just passes it off?
Well, it brought
That's
up all this
that's
stuff about the Superman character. Okay, April 18th, 1938. Okay, so he's about to
okay.
turn 90.
Wow.
In a
He's
couple of
looking pretty
years.
good.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not too shabby.
Hmm.
So yeah, like I said, we weren't going to make this episode. We were going to talk about another movie. Sam talked about Superman last week a little bit, spoiler
Hmm.
free. And but when Dad and I walked out of the theaters, I'm like, I don't know, Pops. I think we're gonna have to do a podcast episode on this.
Oh man.
So um this is going to be a spoiler filled discussion. So if you have not watched it, go watch it.
Should we do a portion that's like general thoughts and then jump to spoiler
I,
free
I I mean, I
or
guess we
or
could like what's our sure, okay, we'll say uh this section this chunk in this section is this chunction is spoiler free until we say otherwise.
okay.
Oh
Uh
man.
so I
Pressure's
guess
on.
yeah, as far as spoiler free goes, how did everyone feel about this movie?
Um, do you want this on a scale?
Ooh,
Sure.
All right, we're
interesting.
looking
Yeah.
at 5 popcorns.
Five popcorns out of
Five
five. 5 out of 5.
out 5 out of 5.
Okay.
5 out of 5.
Okay.
All right. I left the theater in a good mood.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Now,
Hmm.
granted, I did have some questions, and we can talk about that in the spoiler section, but
Yeah.
I came out of there. I felt good. It was a good movie. I was glad to see it.
Hmm.
Stayed to the end credits and the little thing afterwards.
Yeah,
So,
everyone stayed through the credits.
Oh, that's good.
mm-hmm,
yeah, there's
That's good.
multiple stuff.
yeah.
Um, yeah. Sam, I mean, you just kind of have to rehash what you said last week.
Yeah, true. I would give it 4.5 out of 5 stars.
Interesting.
Oh,
Um, uh, because I do have a couple of like nitpicks or gripes, but on the whole, it got a lot more right than it did wrong.
Hmm.
And yeah, I left feeling hopeful. I left feeling great. Um, it's nice to have a major motion picture with this character where they actually stand for something and where
Hmm.
they say exactly what it is that they stand for, and every single thing they do in the movie uh reiterates that stance.
Yes. So we'll get into that in a little bit because I think we got to talk about something else, to really dive into that.
Mhm.
But as for me, I give it a solid. Well, yeah, I give it a solid. I don't like the 5 star method, because like I feel
I
like I want to give it 4 stars, but I feel like it's better. But I don't know if it's a 4.5. You know what I mean? So
Well,
most movies I like, don't look at my letterbox. Almost every single movie I watch is 4 stars.
Yeah,
So when I get
it's
movies like
baffling.
this, I'm like, oh, this really throws everything out of alignment, Because to me, 5 is like a perfect movie that, yeah, it's just perfect. 4 is really, really good, and I feel like that's where this movie lies.
Mm.
So yeah, I don't know. I'll give it a 4. But keep in mind that I'm pushing all my other 4s back into
Hang
3s and
on.
3.5s now.
you froze.
Oh, well, crap. Connection unstable. All right. So I was going to say, I'm going to give this a 4, but keep in mind that I'm pushing back all my other 4s into 3s and 3.5s.
Is there a
Ay,
list
ay.
so I can go and double check this?
I need to make I need to make my top 20. That's what I need to do. So, okay, but just getting to what Sam was saying, I think he's specifically saying that almost in reference to Man of Steel. Am I correct in saying this?
uh, yes, and Batman v Superman.
Batman v Superman's the big one, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I agree completely. Um, I always I, I never liked BVS. I was never a fan of Justice League or the Snyderverse Justice League.
Mhm,
I enjoyed Man of Steel for what it was. But now after watching this, I think I'm going to be a lot harsher on Man of Steel.
mhm,
And it's like, yes, because this is what like the character feels like. This is straight up from the comic books, you
mhm,
know? Um yeah, I don't know. Like what you said, like he stands for something. I thought Henry Cavill was great. I loved his Superman. I just didn't like the writing of it. That
mhm.
Superman very much felt like almost like he was judging. He's just like ugh.
Yeah,
When they blow up Congress or whatever they're at, and he's just like surrounded by fire, and it's like he's looking down on humans with like shame, and it's like that's never supposed to be Superman.
yeah,
You
Right,
know,
yeah.
right.
so
like like the whole the whole idea of Superman, like the idea of Superman being a god or being seen as a god, it only works when Superman doesn't believe in that. And that
yes,
feels like the entire crux of the Snyderverse, is that this is the universe where these mythic godlike heroes believe their own mythology,
right.
and yeah, so to have a Superman that, at least like in Man of Steel, like is still questioning his place in the universe and on Earth, but by the end and then going forward, just definitely does feel like, this lonely outcast god,
Hmm.
and it's weird because we just never really get to hear him say out loud publicly to anyone what it is that he stands for. He's just doing things to do things. He's good, he's doing things that are on our side or for our benefit, but never actively takes a stance on where he stands. And that's what got to me.
And also part of it is that he just doesn't talk that much.
Yeah.
I think that I don't remember what the exact amount is, but they're saying like Superman only has a few lines in all of BVS.
Yeah.
He
He
has,
has fewer lines in BVS than he did in Man of Steel.
and most of his lines are as Clark, which
Yeah.
is essentially just Superman out of
Yeah.
costume. You know, uh, and again, I like those movies for what they were, but it's just exactly what you're saying. These are like these godlike figures who believe in their own myth. When what I've always liked about DC is kind of how real everyone feels. Like just their characters. They're all, I guess, their alter egos are the heroes, but like their real side of them, they always just are so just as unique as the hero side, you
Hmm.
know? And that's what I really like about DC. Except for Batman, you know. Bruce Wayne is the mask, you know. Everyone
Yeah.
else is opposite. But someone said, because I've been looking up just a bunch of reviews and just people's takes of it online, and someone posted at tats underscore sacks says Snyder asks, what if Superman was in the real world? James Gunn asks, what if Superman was a real person? And I
Mm.
was like, yes, that's
Yeah.
exactly it.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
I watched Kevin Smith's review on Superman, and his style of reviewing movies is kind of like early episodes of Lost Legacies, where he literally goes through it scene by scene.
That's not what we're doing today.
No, and then he goes off on a tangent, and it's like, yeah, so it's like I think he said something like his review was like 7 minutes shorter than the actual movie or
Oh
something.
gosh.
Um, but
That's too long.
and like most of it, I kind of just zoned out because he was just trying to remember, what happened in the movie in the order.
Yeah.
And he said he saw it twice in the same day. That's how much he loved it. But
Wow.
but he was saying, he grew up in a time when comic books were very they were for kids and everyone treated it that way.
Hmm.
So what they always wanted growing up was for people to take it seriously. So when you get this Snyderverse in, they're like, "Yeah, we finally got it," and it's like, "Okay, we got that out of our system. Now let's get back to having fun." And I think everyone's saying it. We're not we're in the majority here, but saying that like this finally feels like a superhero movie that's cool with being a superhero movie. It's cool with being a comic book movie.
Hmm.
You know, you mentioned it the other day. It's like BVS was almost like looked down on it, and the fact that like you don't know it the guy until you read the end credits, but they killed Jimmy Olsen in like the first 5 minutes,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, okay,
Hmm.
that's it. Just felt very like this is comic books, but real.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. It's a world that is ashamed that it is a comic book movie.
right,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
whereas this movie embraces and celebrates the
mm-hmm.
comic bookness. You know,
Yeah,
it takes that world of the comic books but populates it with real people. You know,
yeah,
and even if they are like somewhat caricatures,
mm-hmm.
to varying degrees, it's like most of these people still feel real, and
Right,
that's what's great about comics.
yeah. And even to a lesser extent MCU, like
Hmm.
especially at like post Endgame, it kind of feels like they're trying to. It's like they know they're still superhero movies, but like there's just this kind of snarky tone to it now that I don't like. And
That's been prevalent for a while. It's like in a lot of ways, it's like we're undercutting moments that don't necessarily need to be, undercut, but we're like
Mhm.
doing it with a joke or a snide remark, or nobody has like a superhero code name. We're all just saying everybody's names out loud or
Mhm.
something, or like all the suits look very militarized. Everybody looks tactical
The
and all of that.
nanites, the helmets,
Yeah,
just
and the nanite stuff,
yeah, yeah.
and yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I think ironically, a big part of that was Guardians of the Galaxy from James Gunn.
Hmm.
He brought in the snarkiness with the Guardians, but it worked with those characters. Well, then when it became super popular, everyone's like, "Yeah, we need more of that.
Yeah.
We need more humor. We need more jokes." But they're not really getting that. Like you could do that with the Guardians, you
Hmm.
know, because they're not superheroes. They're these like space misfit, outlaws. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. It's funny how I feel like this Superman movie, also by James Gunn,
Hmm.
is also going to kind of change the landscape of what we get going forward. And I'm
Hmm.
curious to see what Marvel does. I'm really curious to see what Fantastic Four does because we've been talking about it forever, and we're going to be talking about it for the next couple of weeks. It
Hmm.
looks very different from the past couple of years of Marvel,
Yeah.
and dare I say, it looks very much like what we're praising Superman for. It
Hmm.
looks like it's embracing the fact that it's a comic book movie. And I'm like, so I'm just crossing my fingers.
Yeah,
So
me
we'll
too.
see.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, what else do y'all want to say about this movie that with that doesn't include spoilers? I love the acting, I love the cast.
Hmm. Hmm.
The plot was very surprising to me.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I think I would like to remark on the music, the as kind of
Hmm,
one of my gripes is
really?
that
Mm.
as much as I love the score and I like how they're utilizing the Superman theme, it never really gets to be its own thing, you know?
Sure.
Like
It's like either use the original theme or come up with a new one. Like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because, like uh I don't want to keep, slamming, the Zack Snyder movies. So one thing I will praise the Zack Snyder movies for was that Hans Zimmer made his own Superman theme.
Right.
And it's I think Hans Zimmer's score for Man of Steel is one of the best things he's made.
Yeah.
And it's the best thing I feel to come out of the Snyderverse. And it has, the elegance and this aura about it that, like, yeah, I could, if we're gonna go ahead and switch up themes, if we're gonna lay to rest the John Williams theme, I felt like that was a worthy successor.
Hmm.
The score and the theme in this one, it's good, and it evokes all that hope, it evokes all that feeling, but it never gets to be its own thing. It's almost um Michael Giacchino when he's doing Star Trek
Hmm.
or the MCU Spider-Man movies. It's like he'll put in the original theme a little bit,
Yeah.
but he gets to make his own theme for the rest of the movie. And I thought that that was what we were gonna get here,
Hmm.
but we kind of never did.
Yeah.
And so I was a little disappointed in that. It's great to hear, the John Williams score and like this cool electric guitar kind of slowed down, but I was
Yeah.
hoping for a little bit more.
Yeah. So on the music, I'll say like it's not bad. It's good,
Right.
but I just feel like it's not very memorable, except
Hmm.
that electric guitar.
Yeah.
You hear the theme played with the electric guitar. It's just something like so like inspirational and hopeful in that. You're like, and it could just be just that theme played anywhere. I mean, you could play that theme song on the violins. Oh my God,
Yeah.
or the hurdy-gurdy. Like I think that theme is just an iconic theme. But in
Yeah.
this case and in this movie, to have it on the electric guitar, I was like, damn,
Yeah.
that's we'll talk about it later. But the scene that they use it with, I'm just like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Dad, any non-spoiler things you want to say before we make the switch?
Oh no, I want to spoil everything.
Okay.
All
You
right.
know,
Then this is your official timestamp right now. We're
Yep.
going into spoiler territory. So if you haven't seen the movie yet,
Get out.
get out of here, go and watch it, and then come back and dive right in. We'll see you there.
Okay.
that's right.
Spoilers
Okay, because the old
commence.
man's gonna start.
Spoilers commence in five, four, three. Brace yourself.
Oh,
Two,
oh,
one.
ah, ah.
Boom. Okay. All right. The whole thing with the message from his parents. Okay.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a take on this, but go ahead, Dad. Say what you want to
Okay.
say.
So, unless I really missed something,
Uh-huh.
okay. But the whole thing about him conquering Earth and having harems and all that kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
unless I missed something, did the engineer change it when she repaired the video? Did
Mm-hmm.
she manipulate it in a way that that's now the story? No one really, unless I missed it, nobody really says anything. They just say, "Hey, this is she fixed it, and this is what it is, and that's the way the
Yeah.
movie goes." Okay,
Yeah.
well, that totally goes against canon. Okay,
Mhm.
Superman was sent here by his parents for the benefit of the planet Earth. Okay. Not to conquer it. Now,
Hmm.
I get it. They had to do something so that the storyline would carry because it's all about his decision and who he is and all that questioning stuff, right? Okay. Uh, so I get that this new version of his parents allows for that to happen.
Hmm.
I get that. But that's not that's not Superman.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not as bad as when in the other Superman movie where Superman kills Zod. Okay. Same thing. Superman doesn't kill. Okay. But they put that in that movie. Okay. And it's like, no, that's not right. Why are you doing that? Why are you changing that?
Hmm.
You know? Okay. He didn't have to kill Zod. His parent in this movie, his parents don't have to send him to Earth to conquer it and lord over it. You know,
Hmm.
they don't have to, but they did. So it's a good movie. I know I gave it 5 popcorns, maybe 4 and 3/4, maybe.
Okay,
Okay.
Sam, what's your
But
hot take?
My my hot take is this. It's all BS. That whole thing is BS. And it's BS because we're being told that by Lex Luthor. We're being told that, we're being shown that message on national television. And yes, I get it. I get that they never go back. They never like Clark never goes back to try and figure that out. Never, has a conversation with the engineer, anything like there's no one of the things about this movie is that it is very reactionary in how the characters work. It's like this thing happens, now we have to do this. Because we did this, this thing happens, now we have to do this. So I I also felt the same way that like that's such a weird thing. It does also feel like a very James Gunn thing to sort of put into the canon, but I think it's interesting that it's never addressed as whether or not it's true.
Hmm.
And for the purpose of this movie, I think it allows for Superman to grow past just embracing his Kryptonian heritage because that's something that kind of feels like we got used to with the Snyderverse is that like he's so ingrained in in the mythos of Krypton, but also being the only one, the last one. And there's so many there are a lot of other comics too where it's like okay yeah like that's a huge part of his identity. This feels like it's taking a forward step into say like yes this is where he comes from. It is also like if it's true that's a that's an unfortunate glaring issue of his people that he doesn't want to accept. And the entire movie is about image and perception and how perceptions can be altered and how what you do how what you do has a look to it. That's the whole point of the conversation with Lois. It's like he's just going to do things, but people can still have an opinion about it. I think how this movie pushes past that and then ends where yes, he is now listening to or seeing images of his parents, but instead of Jor-El and Laura, it's Ma and Pa Kent, and his time growing up. That feels like something of a something like growth, where it's like I don't have to do this because I was sent here to do it. I don't have to do this because I was told that this is why I was sent here. I am doing this because I choose to do it.
Yeah.
I do wish that they had sort of addressed it, but I think by not having them do that, it allows for Superman to still make that choice and for it to hit that much harder.
Yeah, I think they'll probably reveal that it was fake, like in a part two or something.
Or maybe in Supergirl, you
Yeah,
know?
because I also, yeah, see, that's really interesting because she actually, at least according to comics, I don't know what Supergirl in the James Gunn world is gonna be, but she remembers she was alive. She was a
Hmm.
teenager when all that stuff happened. So Kal-El has no memory. So all he's going off is that recording.
Hmm.
But I I honestly don't care. Like because that's kind of the whole point, It's just like,
You're gonna knock over dead.
look, Jor-El's not Superman. You know,
Yeah.
Kal-El is. So to me it doesn't matter. There is something I do miss the idea though of him like having that connection with his real dad. And that's the thing I kind of miss about this. Like he never learns from Jor-El. In all the other versions, like he kind of goes off and he learns in the fortress or whatever, however that happens in that
Hmm.
story. Jor-El is still like this, the ghost of Jor-El is like a mentor towards him.
Hmm.
So that's not what we're having here. So maybe that happens later. Who knows? So if this is the case, if this really is who the Kryptonians are, it's unfortunate. I'm not. To me, it's small potatoes. It's just like, all right, it's a rendition, or a certain interpretation of it. Like, I think it's much easier to showcase who Superman is as a character with this being the case. Because
Hmm.
like you said, like, yeah, he's not doing it because it's his mission.
Hmm.
He's not Superman because he has to be. He's Superman because he chooses to be.
Hmm.
As my
Hmm.
Batman Forever reference, right? Is
Yeah.
that Batman
Yeah,
Forever?
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. And Batman as well. Like in the comics, they've done that so many times where they try to make the Waynes actual like antagonist.
Hmm.
I don't know if it's the Wayne family or the Canes, which I think his mom is. Like
yeah,
they
Yeah,
were
I think
yeah,
so.
like
Yeah.
they were
yeah,
like corrupt or whatever. Like they're basically not very good, you know.
Yeah.
And in the Batman with Robert Pattinson, they really make it seem like Bruce Wayne or Thomas Wayne was a killer or he was working with the mob, which he kind of was, but it was. We eventually learned the circumstances, and we kind of see where he's coming from. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and like it's really interesting that we have this in both of those movies where it's about both of these orphans essentially,
Hmm.
trying to find this connection to the parents they never knew, and it kind of ends up at odds of everything they stand for,
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
like Star-Lord finding out who his dad is,
Hmm.
this
Hmm.
evil planet-eating god thing played by an awesome Kurt Russell,
Yep.
and I'm like, oh man, damn. Gamora's dad is Thanos. Well, not
Hmm.
well, adopted dad, but still,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. Damn, James Gunn has some issues.
some father issues.
Yeah,
Yeah. Seems
I'd
like
say
it.
go to therapy, but don't. You're
Keep
making
making
good
movies.
movies.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go.
A Peacemaker, big time daddy issues there.
Puts it all into his art. And
Yeah,
there you go.
exactly, exactly. So all that's just to say, like, if this ends up being true, I really don't care. The fact that they get Bradley Cooper to play Jor-El, though, kind of gives me the vibe that they're going to revisit this at some point. You know,
Maybe.
like
Yeah.
this didn't just feel like a cameo. Like if it was just that one scene, that video, I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, Bradley Cooper cameo, that's cute.
Yeah.
But the fact that like it takes such a twist, I'm like, oh, this is interesting. I have a
Mm.
feeling the parents will play into like a part two or whatever. Especially I really really hope we get a film franchise where Brainiac is the big bad. You know,
Yes.
I'm kind of tired, like
Yeah.
Dark
Yeah.
Side and all that stuff, with
Hmm.
those movies just kind of felt like a different kind of Thanos, really. So I'm
Hmm.
like, let's see Brainiac as this, universe is Thanos. This is what's going to bring the
Mm.
Justice League together or something.
Yeah. Ooh, I
Brainiac
like
and
that.
Lex, that's happened so many times in the comics,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think that, and then the fact that the next movie in the queue is Supergirl, I think we have a lot of Kryptonian history in front of us, you
Yeah.
know. So that kind of leaves me hopeful. So, yeah. Also, they said online they were saying, wait a minute, so 28 top linguists deciphered this? You mean the top 28 human linguists deciphered
Yeah.
this? Like,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
it would have been
Exactly.
different if they said like, oh yeah, they use like this new AI program to translate it. That would have made more sense. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. But then I still wouldn't have trusted it because I'm like, yeah, it's AI. I'm not
yeah,
going to trust
exactly.
anything it
Yeah.
says, you know?
So, oh man. Um, Yeah, but let me see. One thing I really wanted to mention is that how I love how I know people have issues with like the opening credits where it's like blah 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 300 years ago the first metahuman arrived and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
kind of when I was watching it too, I was like, oh, this is how we're starting. Okay. It kind of felt like less of an intro to this movie and more of an intro to this universe
Hmm.
you know and just we got to remember the comic book fans. I won't say that we're in the minority of people who like enjoys these superhero movies, but
Hmm.
like the ones who really like know the history and the lore, we're kind of in the minority.
Mm.
I feel like the majority of people who are watching these movies, the majority of people going to the theaters are the ones who are just like, oh, cool, another movie, or it's like the friends or the partners of that one comic book nerd, you know,
Yeah.
and like you need to have something that kind of sets up your universe, be like, hey, this is the first time in a film franchise where we're doing a world that's actually already built. Superheroes are real,
Mm.
This isn't an origin story of Superman or other superpowers. Just get on board,
Yeah.
You bought your
Yeah.
ticket literally, so you're in for a movie with superheroes, Because when you get that in your head, we don't need to know Guy Gardner's origin or Hawk Girls or Mr. Terrific.
Yeah.
Although I'm curious, you just know like, oh, okay, there's superheroes in this world,
Yeah.
And speaking of those three, the Justice Gang, I was always kind of disappointed about like the extra characters we were getting because I was thinking like, wow, this feels very loaded for a Superman movie.
Hmm.
I don't want the emphasis to be taken off of him too much, but also I'm like, really, these are the characters we're kind of settling with. The only one I was excited for really was Hawk Girl,
Hmm.
but after watching it, I totally get it. And because mom made the comment, she's like, I didn't like any of those other heroes. They were all jerks. And I was like, that's why I loved it. That's why I loved it. Because you need to establish a world that needs Superman.
Yes.
You can't
Yes.
have
100%.
another Boy Scout in the lineup.
Yeah.
So even Mr. Terrific, who probably really seemed like the only quote unquote hero, even he
Hmm.
was kind of very hesitant. I'm like, well, I don't
Hmm.
know. He kind of begrudgingly helps Lois. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and then that's when he starts getting more invested. The others were just they couldn't be bothered with it.
Yeah.
So I'm like that. Like they perfectly set up a world that needs Superman. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, that's very good. That's good world building. I like this a lot. So
Because if there's a Captain America, running around, with these other heroes, yeah, then why does
yeah,
Superman need to be there? We're gonna follow Steve Rogers into the
yeah,
fray. Like we don't, yeah, and it helps because these the Justice Gang, they are heroes, but they're heroes in the way that I think we're used to superheroes in these comic book movies working.
yeah,
They see the big threat, they fight the big threat. They don't care about collateral damage. They don't care
yeah,
about the people. In the kaiju fight with the giant monster in Metropolis, Superman takes his time to save to save human beings a dog and a squirrel. A
Yes.
squirrel.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I know that the squirrel got a big laugh from our audience, from our crowd.
Yeah.
But it shows you just how much life means to this guy, that
Hmm.
no life is too small or too insignificant, that if one little squirrel, one little creature gets smushed, then it's a failure, like that's bad, like that's a bad thing. Even after the Justice Gang kills the kaiju, like he even
Yeah.
says, like, I was really hoping that we could try and do something with it. Even if we had to use euthanize it, we could do it in a humane way,
Yeah.
you know? And he gets called a wimp. He is
Yeah.
called a wimp for caring about this giant creature. And it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's how a lot of people see Superman. They either see him as this person who has all this power, who can do whatever he wants, or they see him as this, wimpy dude who only cares about, cats and trees and stuff. And it's like, well, yeah, because he is all of that.
Yeah. I love I so basically the movie opens with the scene that we saw in the trailer where he's like bleeding out and he gets
Yeah.
Crypto to pull him in. But the moment I knew that like I like this Superman was like after he gets healed up by the sun and stuff, and like Crypto starts like biting him and stuff. I think his first line is like "Gee golly,"
Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. I love this guy. He's such a dork. He's such a dork and
I'll,
like such an innocent puppy.
I'll
You know,
follow him to hell.
I'll follow him to hell and back.
That, yeah.
Golly, Crypto. I was like, oh. And it wasn't cheesy. It was just like it felt real. He was in that moment.
Yeah.
Like, oh man. And Crypto, I loved. He got a little annoying. Crypto plays a big role in this movie, and like there's a lot of scenes where he kind of steals the focus. Uh,
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a little extra, other times it's specifically for the plot. But I'm just like, I felt the way anyone would if they were having to,
A
babysit their
dog.
dog.
Yeah.
That dog, I'm like, oh my God, jeez.
Yep.
But also the twist that Crypto's not his dog, it's Kara's. I was like,
Yeah.
this makes perfect sense. One, I didn't know she was in the movie, so that was a nice cameo. But then, like, when she's laying there and letting Crypto just like treat her like a rag doll,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Jump on her, bite her, throw her
oh,
around, and she's just laughing
I
about it.
love it.
Like, yep.
Oh,
Yep.
and
That
then the
makes
robot
sense.
Gary, where he's like, no personal boundaries at all. He's like, it makes a lot of sense. If I had emotions, I should probably be worried for her. That was cool. I love the robot. Yeah, I thought all the casting was fantastic. I
Hmm.
I loved Superman. I love Lois. I haven't seen these two actors in anything else.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I just love that chemistry. Uh, I love the interview scene they're giving each other. I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, we had a friend talking about that scene. I'm like, look, this movie throws you right in, so you got to have exposition somehow. And a
Hmm.
movie about two journalists in love with each other, that's the only way. It would be a cinema sin to not do exposition in an interview, you know?
It's
And
true. Yeah.
because it's not an interview between two people, it's an interview between three. Because she's talking, it's Lois, Clark, and Superman. And I'm
Hmm.
just like, this is so good. I love this.
Hmm.
Like, oh man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a very modern take on like the Christopher Reeve, Margot Kidder on the roof scene where that was much more cheesy and romantic, which is something else. I'm really glad we didn't get any of that. I like how they're already in the relationship, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's also it's also very funny to me that it's like I think they say somewhere in there that they've been dating for
Three
what,
months.
3 months?
3 months. Yeah.
So in the course of 90 days, Clark already fell in love with Lois and told her his secret identity.
No,
That
I think she
that's
figured it
great.
out. I think she
That's
figured
great.
it out.
Well, I mean, probably, but
Yeah.
but still, yeah, that's great.
Well,
I,
but you have
I
to,
love it either way.
yeah, it's great. And we were talking about this, Sam, Dad. Like I never realized this. I was just, at work. I should have been working, thinking the other day. I was like, wait a minute.
I
In the
hope the
animated
boss don't see
series,
this.
In the animated
Hmm.
series, which was the Superman we really grew up with, we grew up with all of them technically,
Hmm.
but that was like the most Superman, you know, Tim Daly as Superman, Clark Kent,
Yeah.
and I never dawned on me that they never get together. They never even flirt or date, and Lois never finds out that Clark is Superman, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't
And
think so.
if
I've
they
been
do,
going
it's
through it.
Justice
Yeah.
League because I haven't
Yeah.
seen Justice League, but yeah, they never do, and I was like, wow, that's nuts. And then like 1 week later, we watched this movie, and I'm like, oh, okay, I really like that they just skipped all of it, and it's
Yeah.
writing, you know, and it's also part of the thing of like, one, I think studios and the creators are getting smarter, and they're like, hey, the audience knows what's a superhero movie. You know,
Hmm.
a lot of them are used to these heroes, you know, like we don't have to see Uncle Ben get killed again. They already
Yeah.
they're old enough to remember the Tobey Maguire movies, you know. So
Yeah.
we don't even have Uncle Ben in the Tom Holland movies, you know. And then so this one, like, we don't actually get the origin. It just is a little line. An alien crash lands and is raised in Kansas. You know, it's like, okay,
Hmm.
done. You know, people know the origins of Superman.
Yeah.
People know that Clark and Lois are together. So it's like there's no will they, won't they. It's like, no, they're together. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and I love it.
I think I think the way they did that throughout the movie, like they're recognizing that the true fans already know all of this.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And that opening scene, you know, like you said, 300 years ago the first metahumans came and that whole list, that's
Hmm.
very comic bookish. All you needed was to put a box around each one of those sentences.
That's
Yes.
true.
Yes.
And it's a page out of a comic book.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then again, giving credence and recognizing that the fans know the story.
Hmm.
So when they can jump to it and say, "Oh yeah, of course Lois and Clark are together. Of course they are.
Hmm.
Let's move on. Let's continue with the story." You
Hmm.
Hmm.
know, because we've seen that in every comic book, every series of comic books.
Yeah.
It's been that way. So it's like, well, this is just another comic book story of Superman.
Hmm.
So as a fan, I already know they're together or they're going to get together and everything. So it's like, yeah, I think they had the comic book fan in mind when they made this movie.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And it helps that they are, comic book fans,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know. And
Yeah.
I think the thing you don't want to do is just rehash, you know.
Hmm.
You're
Yeah.
rebooting this whole universe, but you don't want to just do something again,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. So, especially when we're getting, different versions of these characters so soon. I don't even remember when Man of Steel was
2013.
2013, so it's just a
What?
little
Hmm.
over a decade.
Or yeah, I think it was 2013.
Yeah, so it's like, dang. Yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
It feels like the story's continuing, even though it's a brand new universe. It's just like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, they're already together. We got that.
Yeah.
We don't have to go through it all again.
Okay. I want to ask y'all's opinion about Lex Luthor.
Oh God, I
Oh,
loved him. He's such like Nicholas Holt is such an amazing actor, and
Mm,
I love this Lex. He has felt the most Lex Luthor. Um, Only exception probably be Michael Rosenbaum,
okay.
because that was a
Okay.
much more human. Because you see him, it's like Superman. You see Clark become Superman. You see Lex become Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved it. I love how the hypocrisy, the hate, the it really doubled down on like this isn't Lex Luthor in the real world. We're not going to base him off of, Mark Zuckerberg. Like, no, no. Just like that Variety article that came out a couple days ago where it says, Superman's not woke. We just have real life supervillains now. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, like he's straight up this super exaggerated Elon Musk mixed with Trump, and it's just like I just love how seething and like what he was the toxic male keyboard warriors, which
Yeah.
you also see amongst his cronies. You know, I thought it was such a good way to do the villain. Whereas in the Batman, you have the Riddler, who kind of
Hmm.
has that was really creepy. You kind of had like Proud Boys showing up, and they're like, okay, we're gonna take down this arena and stuff. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like this Lex and his gang are like the ones who are just always crying, oh, you made Superman woke, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I loved when he's like breaking down and like shouting and yelling, he's like, just you, Superman existing reminds us of how weak we are. And
Hmm.
it perfectly sums up the character so much. He's like, man, a movie that's all about hope and people being inspired, and you have this guy who's the opposite. He sees Superman and he feels little. And I'm like, oh, it's
Yeah.
such a
Yeah.
2025 version of Lex Luthor. And I like the way they stayed away from any kind of humorous take on him, and just yeah.
Yeah.
He's probably the most realistic character in this movie, you know?
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Um, yeah, I do. I liked how there's a moment where you can see because like we've gotten Lex. He's already been shown to be like he's super smart. He already knows where the fortress is. He already knows how to get into the fortress. He's got he's playing all the angles. He's working with the military. He's working with uh Boravia, or yeah,
Mhm.
Boravia, this fictional country. He's playing to the media, he's doing all these things. He's a mastermind. He's playing 4D chess and Superman's playing checkers. It's that kind of a thing. When he captures Superman, when he has him in that cage with Metamorpho, and there's the kryptonite there, and he brings out that street food vendor, Malik,
Oh man.
and they're playing
Man.
Russian roulette, and I'm like, this is
Man.
insane. Like this is crazy. This is so sad, and it's such a jarring moment because it feels the most visceral,
Yeah.
and rightfully so. It makes you upset.
I didn't think they
Um,
were going to go there.
Yeah.
I didn't
Same
think so
here.
either.
Same
The
here.
whole time I was thinking, I'm like, how are they going to not, like, they've built it up so well. How are they
Yeah,
not going to do this? And then they
yeah,
did it. And
and
I'm
then they
Yeah.
like,
did, and it's like it perfectly shows the like crassness and the carelessness that these billionaires and these genocidal political figures
mhm,
have to human life and to life that they deem less than theirs.
mhm,
um and it perfectly encapsulates that. I really loved the moment after, when they're like leaving on the barge, and Lex says, it's like maybe I'll just pick somebody, more personal to you, closer to you in your life. Maybe I'll get the reporter that writes all the stories about you. Maybe next time I'll kill Clark Kent. And he just goes away, and it just completely, it's like the facade and the mystique of Lex Luthor vanishes, at
mhm,
least like for the audience, because it's like he's so arrogant. He's so arrogant and egotistical. He can't fathom that Superman isn't Superman 24/7. He can't see it. If
mhm,
in that moment Superman just straight up said that he was Clark Kent, he wouldn't believe it.
mhm,
He could see it on the street and he wouldn't believe it. That's how lost Lex is. And that's why every single thing that he says about feeling small, looking at Superman makes human beings feel small. It's all projection. It's all
mhm,
projection because that's how he feels. Every like this street food vendor who in his dying moments was telling Superman, "I have no family. I'm
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Don't worry about me."
Yeah.
Like choosing to take that moment to tell this person who's a god amongst men that I'm okay, don't worry about me. Like yeah, like consoling that man. Like
Yeah.
that man, when he looks at Superman, he rushes into the fray to help him out of a crater.
Yeah.
He's telling him, I'll be fine. Like you keep going. That's the difference between a normal person and somebody of this, you know, supposed like higher learned, higher thinking,
Hmm.
mentality.
Hmm.
That scene for me, it's like
Yeah.
when I saw it, it was very upsetting, but like coming away from it, it's like it's one of the most important scenes in the movie
Hmm.
because it sets the stakes and then it sets Superman on the path forward of like have to save everyone, have to get out of here, and I have to do this right. I
Hmm.
have to stop these people. Maybe I can't do it alone, but I have to try,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that too, how like I mean, you kind of know how the story's going to go. You're like, okay, the Justice Gang is going to come around. They're going to help. At the end of
Yeah.
the day, they're still heroes, you
Yeah.
know? So, just the scene of towards that third act when that country's getting about to get invaded and like everyone's there just standing ready to fight back, and then the kid pulls up the Superman logo on the flag, and they start, kid starts like Superman, and they all start chanting Superman, and the music, and I'm like, dude, like I had tears in my eyes. I'm like, oh my god. Because like one, it's that's the power of Superman. He's inspiring, and that's the way he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
You remember the scene in Age of Ultron where the helicarrier shows up to help everyone, and they're
Yeah.
like, "What's this?" And Cap says, "That's Shield. That's what Shield's supposed to be."
Yeah.
That's what I felt like. I'm like, this is what Superman's supposed to be. This is what he's always been, and we kind of lost sight of that.
Hmm.
This is what Superman's supposed to be. And then also just the fact of how much this is mirroring the real world.
Hmm.
Like, I have no doubt that there's definitely some Russia Ukraine influences behind this story. But then
Yeah.
even then, I'm not exactly sure when it was written or when it filmed. But there's also a lot of Israel, and
Hmm.
Palestine influences of this, and I'm just like, Jesus, man, and like,
Hmm.
crap.
Now,
Um,
according to James Gunn, like a lot of that was, not intentional, but
mhm.
also just looking at the figure that like James Gunn is, and
Yeah,
how like
yeah,
outwardly political he is. It's like,
yeah.
the proof is in the pudding
Because
at that
also, I mean,
point,
that's straight up him interfering with a war and these other countries. That's straight out of the comics as well. That's
Yeah.
one of the bigger moments. I want to say the one I'm thinking of, that was like Bush era Superman,
I want to say so too.
right?
Yeah, I remember reading something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
But just even then, like I'm just trying to think of the timeline and how long it's taken him to make a movie. Like, um, I'm not even sure like a lot of the Israel stuff had already started. I mean,
Hmm.
technically, it's been going on for 100 years, but this
Yeah.
latest
Yeah.
version, I don't even know if that had already started when they started working on this movie. But still, it's just it's terrifying and it's heartbreaking to see how similar it is.
Hmm.
To real life. And then, Russia, Ukraine, I think that's kind of the big example that he had no intention, quote unquote, of
Yeah.
doing. I mean, yeah, I mean that's yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty obvious. Um it's not just that Superman stood for something, it's like the movie stood for something,
Yeah.
and that's what I was um just really happy about. It's like, yeah, there is a message, and by the definition of woke, sure, Superman's woke, but I mean it's always been political, and
Hmm.
he's always stood like
Hmm.
Superman has never, I say he's never changed. He has changed, but it's like we're going back to what he originally stood for. And
Hmm.
it goes back to that meme or saying or whatever it is, where it's like Star Trek has always been woke. Superman has always been woke. Star Wars has always been woke. You just grew up and became an asshole.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I'm like, and that sums it up completely. It's like, yeah, all of those heroes we grew up were fighting fascism.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Even the teenagers, it's just like, yeah, man, we were raised on, Harry Potter and Hunger Games. It's like all fighting fascists. Like it's ingrained in our blood, whether we realize it or not.
Hmm.
And it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's just side note, but the fact that we're living in the world we're living in now is just so perplexing to me. It just doesn't
Hmm.
make any sense. Like,
And to double down on that, it is also this thing of like the arguments that these bad faith actors, these bad faith
yeah,
political commentators or whatever, the arguments that they're making, they're not new. Like they were
no,
making these, they
Mm-hmm.
these were the same things that Nazis were saying about Superman in the 30s.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
The entire
Yeah.
radio program series of Superman versus the Klan
hmm
had the Ku Klux Klan in the United States outwardly saying and putting editorials in newspapers and stuff that like Superman is bad. Superman is a bad character because he represents this and that. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like those are the exact same talking points that these people are tweeting about, posting about, and it's like one, if my rhetoric matched a member of the Ku Klux Klan at any point in history, I would want to rethink my life choices and I would want to rethink my mentality of like, maybe, just maybe, I think I want to be more like Superman. And
yes,
so and
yes,
so sure, maybe Superman doesn't like actually fight Nazis in
yeah,
or in this movie, but the entire fact that Superman, the Justice Gang, the movie itself basically and blatantly says that, hey, it is morally right to stand against oppression and tyranny in all its
hmm
shapes and forms. I think that's a great message. And I think that's a great message to be putting out there right now. And that's a message that I can get behind.
exactly. And it's not even it's not even like that specifically. It's just like just make good choices.
Hmm.
Just be a good person. Like to be
Which
a
is
good
what he tells Lex at the end of the movie.
yeah, it's the
You
choices we
know?
make, and I love that. And I loved I did hear the line, people kept mentioning it before I saw the movie, but like maybe that's punk rock. And I'm just like, oh, okay, that's cheesy. How they, you know, as someone who middle school Matt, really kind of changed the way he pictured the world after discovering punk rock in the seventh grade,
Hmm.
or in middle school. So now that I'm an adult, I'm like, all right, what's this? Well, let's see what this punk rock line is about. And no, it's perfect. I liked it, because that whole scene is about Lois talking about how, she was the one always questioning and rebelling and, like trusting no one, where Superman trusts everyone and sees the beauty in everyone. And that's when he says, yeah, maybe that's the real punk rock. And I'm like, oh, yeah, man. So, and that goes back to I saw uh, a picture of someone on the subway, and like it was kind of spray painted on the subway, and it says, "In a world that I want to say, like in a world that constantly oppresses you, self love is punk rock."
Hmm.
And I'm like, hell yeah, man, and it's kind of just finding that beauty and sharing it, with the world that really makes that difference. And again, it's just the choices we make every day, you
Hmm.
know? And like, oh, man, it's so good. It's so good, and the last, like, all I want to say is to anyone listening to this, you know, who's trying not to, I don't know, I'm trying to get into their head, trying to justify it. And I can't. To anyone who says it's not political, or, their favorite shows are too political and blah 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 blah, like everything is politics, and it always has been, it always will be,
Yeah.
because politics literally control, everything and everything in our lives. Politics affect us. It affects our moms. It affects Joe Bob over there, who I don't know, but I see every day. Like it all affects us in one way or another. So to complain that like this or that is just too political or whatever, it's like, dude, everything is. Like we just
Hmm.
said, everything we grew up on was political because everything is political. And if you want to live in a world where you don't see that, then that's to me that's where the escapism comes from. And that's why I remember telling you that like I've never really liked that term escapism, and I've
Yeah.
never also because like I don't have guilty pleasures. I'm like, no, I love this because I love this. It's kind of the same way with escapism. Like I don't watch this because I want to escape the world,
Yeah.
or my life. Although recently, like the last 10 years, that's kind of changed. Give me the escapism. But yeah, it's just like so people who are saying that, commenting on wokeness or the politics of Superman, I think just help fuel why it's so good and the way it didn't come off too preachy.
Yeah.
It's just straight on the
Agreed.
nose. Like, look, this is black and white. This is right. This is wrong. You know. And like Superman says, we just wake up every day, figure it out. Yeah.
Yep.
Um. What else? What haven't we touched on yet? We talked acting. We talked music.
I don't know. I think we got it all.
I'm I'm curious what comes next because this was such a bright, hopeful movie.
Mhm.
They're not all going to be that. So I'm kind of curious. Okay, what's the Supergirl movie going to look like?
So
And what?
Supergirl. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say Supergirl's next, and Lanterns, the show. I don't know which one's coming first.
Uh, I think Supergirl is coming next.
Okay.
Because yeah, because we've got Supergirl coming. We've got Lanterns, the show that's about Hal Jordan and John Stewart.
Yeah.
Um, we also have a Clayface movie coming out that, and again, James Gunn has said pretty much all of this is in the same continuity. So I don't know how that's gonna fit into the
And they've
world.
described that as straight up horror.
Yeah, they've essentially said
Really?
it's DC's version of The Fly.
Yeah.
Oh,
But they did
Yeah.
say, or Mike Flanagan, who wrote the screenplay,
Yes.
was saying that what was the Clayface episode, the first one in the animated series. It's what
Oh,
really is.
yeah, Feet of Clay.
Feet of Clay is what inspired him, and that of course includes the I don't know if they won an Emmy for it or not, but certainly were nominated and got a lot of recognition for the animation of Clayface changing into all the different forms and stuff. And
Yeah.
shout out
Yeah.
to Ron Perlman who played Clayface.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh
Mm-hmm.
wow. So
Yeah, I know that the Supergirl movie is based off of a pretty recent comic, Supergirl World of Tomorrow, where
mhm.
she's on another world and I think gets involved in like the geopolitics there,
Mm,
and has to, reckon with, the fact that, hey, she's a Kryptonian, she is a superhero, she's also, young and coming into her own, as a person, as a woman. And what does that look like? It's that thing where it's like all the best like stories are just problems that we have or issues that we have in our
mhm,
real life, but exaggerated. And
mhm.
it's essentially that.
But also she's young and inexperienced, but she's angry.
Yes.
And that's something we haven't really seen in Supergirl. Well, we don't really have a lot of film versions. We have a lot of animated versions, but
Hmm.
it's like Clark has no memory of Krypton because he was a baby.
Hmm.
Kara, though, she was a teenager when she got shot off the planet. So,
Hmm.
like, she carries that weight of grief of losing everyone she cares for, and that the anger that comes for that. So it's really interesting that you mentioned the geopolitics because I'm like, oh, she's probably going to do the exact opposite, you
Hmm.
know? Whereas this movie starts off with, Clark saying, he's like talking to Lois, like, okay, maybe I do need to watch what I'm doing, be more aware of
Hmm.
that. Whereas Kara's just going to barrel on through.
She might, yeah.
and that's going to be really interesting. Um, Also, she goes to planets with a red sun so she can get drunk, which is never a good combo.
No.
So yeah, that's going to be interesting. And I don't know, it might have been New 52, but in the comics, she eventually becomes a Red Lantern. I'm like,
I think that was
oh,
in the New 52, but yeah,
I'm kind
that's really
of like,
cool.
I think that would be a cool way to bring in Red Lanterns into the series. But
Hmm.
before this movie, I was my concern was that like you have these kind of lesser B characters. Like, I don't want these characters to start showing up in everything and become like the first version of the Justice League, It's like,
Hmm.
because I want to see the Justice League.
Although, they do have the Hall of Justice, which I thought was pretty
I thought
funny.
that was cool. I thought that was
I
funny.
thought that was fun, yeah.
But after watching the movie, like, I liked all of them, even Metamorpho. I'm like, I like this guy. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, cool. I wouldn't mind seeing them. Like, if you just do it in a believable way. So Guy Gardner's going to be in the Lanterns, of course.
Hmm.
Um, I'm curious what they're going to do with Hawk Girl because she has a different name from the Hawk Girl in the animated series, and that's kind of the only Hawk Girl I know.
Hmm.
So I'm kind of curious, like how she's going to differ or be the same.
Hmm.
I did like how she let that guy die. She killed him, and I was
Yeah.
like, she's like, I'm not Superman. I was like, good because
It's
that's
like,
who Hawk
hey,
Girl is. You
yeah.
know. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm looking forward. I know nothing about Mr. Terrific, but I liked him,
Hmm.
and I loved how big of a role he had. He actually had a bigger role than I expected.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Me too.
yeah. So I guess just to round it out, huge shout out to the actors who played Ma and Pa Kent. They weren't in it long, but like they just stole the scene in my heart in every time they showed up. You know, they really leaned into those Kansas accents, and I loved it. I
Hmm.
loved it so much, and I love how she's just like the phone's on the table, and she's just like staring into it, talking.
Like shouting into it.
Yeah.
Clark. Like, I love that. I love the scene at the end with like the little montage of all of them, and of course, Paul Kent carrying him, flying him around like little
Hmm.
Superman. Perry White, he was cool. He was barely in it. I liked it. Jimmy was cool, kind of a jerk. So I'm like, okay, I hope he becomes a better person with Superman around.
Yeah.
I love the Eve being the one who kind of turns things around. I'm like, okay, that's a cool tool. I didn't see that coming until I started seeing the emojis in the text. I'm like, oh my God. That's her
Yeah.
name, right? Eve?
Yeah.
I'm
Eve.
like,
Yeah.
oh my God, it's
Yeah.
Eve. I'm like, that's so brilliant. So
I
yeah,
I really like that too. That was
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. And we have like the whole planet staff there who really didn't need to be there, especially in the third act. But at least those characters are established so they can kind
Hmm.
of come and go in the next movies, you know. So I know Cat Grant ends up playing a bigger role, but I think that's a lot more in like kind of the modern comics.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Which I mean, could be interesting because I think they're pulling from a lot of like both classic and modern,
yeah.
sort of stuff. Um, really like the new animated series, My Adventures with Superman
Hmm.
on HBO. That I think that show and this movie do great at adapting the Superman mythos and the show gets to explore characters in a little bit more of a nuanced way. And yeah, it's really cool to see because like those reporters at the Daily Planet, like they also get like minor role, but like it's really cool just to like see them around. So it
Yeah.
was really fun to see them like in the movie as well. It's like I know they
Yeah.
probably don't have the same bearing on each other, but yeah, I liked it. I hope they get to do more.
Hmm.
Maybe maybe we get to do like a prestige mini series. In the
Hmm.
style of Aaron Sorkin's The Newsroom, but it's
Right.
the Daily Planet.
Well, I was even thinking too, they're all journalists, so they can show up in like non-Superman
Yeah.
roles, because I know one of the modern storylines is how Kat Grant goes to start her own publication and
Hmm.
Clark quits and he goes to join her. And I think it's like an online only type deal, but they're
Mm.
starting from the ground up, like this little media empire. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's kind of cool. So yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of looking forward to that. Um, Ultraman, cool twist. Pretty sure he's gonna become Bizarro, right?
I'm not sure. I like maybe potentially.
Yeah.
The thing about this is that there's a lot of things that get like thrown in,
Hmm.
and we don't get enough time to like explore it. You know,
Yeah.
it's the same issue. It's the same issue with like the Jor-El's message. It's
Yeah.
like we don't get enough time to really dig into it. So like the fact that Ultraman shows up, gets his mask taken off, and he's just a clone.
Hmm.
That should have hit harder. There should have been more of an impact.
Yeah.
Um, and
That's
I
a sh
think and I think with just everything going on like in the finale, like it sucks because Superman does just kind of let him die. He gets thrown into that black hole.
yeah.
And he doesn't know if he's gonna live or not. Like us as fans, we can kind of like suggest like, is he gonna be Bizarro? Does the black hole open up to like another universe where like the comic book Ultraman comes from, the like evil universe?
Right, right.
Who knows?
Hmm.
We really don't know. Um, I think like it's just a nice nod to have that like, hey, he could potentially come back.
Yeah.
You know?
It's the fact that Lex was saying he's just as strong as you, but he's stupider. And I'm like,
Hmm.
oh man, it's setting him up. He has no
Yeah.
intelligence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
that was a twist straight out of the boys. And I knew that and I kind of thought that they were going to do that in this movie
Mm.
because I'm like, Ultraman's from another universe. So the fact that he's in this movie, I'm like, I wonder if they're going to pull boys. Because
Mm.
I mean, I guess spoiler alert for the boys, the comics. The twist is that what's the guy in the
Uh,
black costume? Noir.
yeah.
The big twist is that Noir is a clone of Homelander the whole
Yeah.
time. That's not the way it is in the show, but that's the way it was in the comics. So as soon as I see, he kind of looks like Noir. Ultraman walking around in the trailers, I'm like, oh, I wonder if it's a clone of Superman. I'm like, interesting. But watching it, I didn't put it together. I was like, how did they get into the fortress? Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't put two and two together. I'm
I
like, it
was
was right
waiting for it.
there.
I was like, I want to know. Like, how
Yeah,
did Lex do this? But and
yeah,
then, oh, okay, yeah, because
yeah.
he's already again. Lex is playing, 60 chess and all that.
Uh,
I will say, I this stretch goals for the universe. I want to see Lex with the Legion of Doom,
mm-hmm,
with Brainiac,
mm-hmm.
with the big old skull in the middle of the swamp, just like in the Super Friends cartoon. I want it. I'm tired of
Yeah,
it's the thing that like I feel like Marvel really got away from with like having the like, oh, like the villain is just the evil version of the hero, like we're perfect
yeah,
mirrors for each other. Like, oh, we're gonna build a team and you do all this stuff. It's like they really superhero movies really got away from leaning into that aspect. And I want this universe to lean into that aspect.
yeah.
Give me the Legion of Doom. Give me the Justice League movie where they have to fight the Legion of Doom.
Right.
That I again, I'm gonna be ready. $2 billion opening weekend for me alone.
Nice. Yeah, I'll be there. I'll watch
I'll
it.
be there.
Okay, well, I guess that's that. Superman 2025 gets the vote of approval from Lost Legacies. Can't wait for more.
Yep.
Can't
Can't wait
wait
for
to see
more.
what the Batman looks like in this universe. Um, but everyone, thank you for joining us. Next week we'll be back. We're going to be talking about another movie. Complete opposite. We're going back in time to a movie I think we've all seen. Dad, you can join us if you want. You're invited, as always.
Oh,
But I was gonna pick one movie, and I told Sam about it, but I changed my mind at the last second because I pulled up Paramount Plus. Forget all your problems, throw them away, because we're going to visit Africa as we visit Frank Marshall's 1995 cinematic masterpiece, Congo. where you are the endangered species.
I'm in. I'm so in. I'm so excited. I've been wanting to rewatch this movie for years.
Me too. They
I'm
just
in.
added it. They just added it. I'm like, oh, it's decided. We got to go watch
Yes.
Congo.
Yes. We were just talking about it at work the other day too. They're like, "Do you remember that movie?" It's like, of course I remember Congo. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
I
Yeah.
probably haven't seen it since the 90s.
I think
Like
so.
it's been
Yeah.
that long.
Yeah.
So,
No, I'm pumped. I'm in.
all right. Well, listeners, join us next week for Congo. As always, you can find us on social media. Also on our YouTube, the Hidden City Book Co. That's where this video is if you're watching. Thank you for joining us. I'm on socials at Instagram and Threads at Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch and Blue Sky at Matthew Jimenez. It like pains me to remember these handles. I'm like, wait, what was my name?
You did it to yourself.
I
You
know.
did it to yourself.
I know.
And you can find me on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Threads at Real. That's REEL Texas Weirdo.
And you can find me sitting in a rocking chair on the front porch. But if you want to communicate with me, just get hold of the boys.
I felt like we need like a Superman sign off. Oh, I
Oh.
will say this though. We talked about the punk rock line, but the
Mhm.
line that I really, really loved was after that when they talk about crypto. And she's like, "Really? You're going to turn yourself in just for a dog?" He was, yeah, he's not even a very good dog. He's like, but he's alone and he's probably scared. I was like, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Ah. So yeah. I guess until next time, and they don't say this in the movie, unfortunately, but up, and away.
Up, and away.